The one convoluted thing that I don't like about the Xbox One is its menu system. I mean, you get used to it, and it does kind of what Sony does with the PS4. Like, things that you just did will scroll at the bottom, and that you can pin everything and put it off to the side so your most used apps and whatnot are just easy to access. Once that's all set up and done, then it works better than the PS4. But the fact is that it took so long to kind of figure out where to go for my settings or even for my account. I mean, all this stuff should have been right there for me to get. Once it was all set up, then hey, it was super easy to get to. But that I didn't like, is it took a bit of time to kind of figure out where everything was, and even to learn the new Kinect gestures. Now that I do know them, they're easier. To start using the Kinect, you just simply put your hand up like this. To select, you put your hand in. To move, you grab and fling it and, stretch. It's cool, but I didn't really know to do that without watching the video, so it was kind of alien at first, whereas the PS4 set it up, updated it, and it was working, and that's it. And that's the initial part here. With the Xbox One, since my internet wasn't working, it wasn't setting it up properly. So a process that should have taken me 5 minutes at the most took way too long. And it started feeling like I was setting up a computer, not a console. So that was an issue. However, that's also because of the internet. I bet if my internet was working flawless, then the Xbox One would be working flawless like it is right now. Another quick thing that I didn't mention about the controller is it also has force feedback in the two triggers, which is really cool for things like Forza, because if you're skating out or driving, you'll feel it in the top and also in the bottom. But for Assassin's Creed, when you get hurt and almost are dying, you feel the pulse in one side and the pulse at the bottom, so the stronger vibrations like that, and then the minor ones at the top, and it's like, okay, that's pretty cool. Then there's the two bundled headsets. I don't really like the Sony one that they come shipped with it. I've never been a fan of earbuds, and this is just a basic, everyday earbud with a remote on it. It's like, it seems way too chintzy for me. They could have done better with this. I don't like it. I know that I can use my Samsung headset with it, which is what I do. I have a Note 2, and I use that for the microphone as well as being able to play games. So the fact that there is the jack in the bottom makes it easier. Now, the headset for the Xbox, on the other hand, I'm glad they decided to include this thing. This thing is nice. It has a green ring around it. It's not a light or anything like that. But it's a little awkward at first because it's kind of got this bulbous side to it. Yet, it's a nice little headset. Obviously, opposite sides you can put it on and all that. And all your controls are on it right here. It has kind of a USB connection, and it just works. Mute, volume, and control. And the sound quality is just really nice. Unfortunately, I can't be using it to record with this. I've already tried, and it sounds great for Skype, but yeah, that's a downside. Another last downside that I can get into is that the Xbox doesn't allow you to maintain your hard drive. Like, you can't go in and manually delete things like you can with the PlayStation 4. You can actually go in and delete stuff you don't want. With this one, you can't, and that includes recorded files, game saves, everything. It automatically does all that stuff, and I, for one, don't really like that. But down the road, I'm going to be getting a massive hard drive that I can connect to the 3.0 anyways, so it's not going to be a big deal. It's just I kind of like control over what I can do with my devices, and that feels very limiting. So both machines are fantastic. I stand by getting my Xbox One, and I honestly got a little bit of grief, like, oh, you're getting an Xbox One, you're stupid, get a PS4. And it's like, dude, if I want to spend money on a game machine, I'm going to do a lot of research first before I fully decide on one. And what really got me interested in it were the games. And you know what? Let's come down to the main thing here. It's about the games. If you like Killzone and Infamous and Knack, fantastic. They don't appeal to me, though. I didn't really care for Knack. I've never played any of the Killzone games before, and I haven't really played Infamous, so I have no basis for them. Whereas I played Killer Instinct and loved it. Dead Rising 3, I love zombie stuff, so that's there. Titanfall, Halo, these are things I know and love, so I'm going to want to go for the system that has the games I want. Now, I don't have too many games for the console right now, 4, which I think is respectable. I don't have any for my PS4 yet, and there's a reason for that. I have Call of Duty Ghosts, Battlefield 4, and Assassin's Creed Black Flag for the Xbox One. And that's because of the $10 upgrade deal. Basically, you bring in a 360 version of any particular game, or at least those games, FIFA, NFL, and then uptrade them to Xbox One for $10. So, for $30, 3 games, I can't complain about that. The other one that I had to buy right off the bat is Killer Instinct. I had a chance to play it when the Xbox One Road Tour went on, and it was so phenomenal, I said that's one I have to grab. Now, I'll start with Killer Instinct. Microsoft did something kind of bizarre, yet awesome at the same time. When it comes to Killer Instinct, if you have an Xbox One, you can get the game completely free. Unfortunately, you only get one character, and at that moment, right now, it's Jaco. As the game progresses, you'll be able to play as other characters, but then Jaco will get locked and go to another one, and so on and so forth. For $20, which is the pack that I bought, you get 6 characters, and then another 2 that have been unrevealed. Chances are those 2 are going to be Fulgor and Spinal, but those might be saved for later. That's the other thing that they're doing, is there's going to be a second pack, maybe even a third pack, so down the road the game may have 20, 30 some odd characters. As it stands right now, it only has 6. And those 6 characters all play very well, and as some review shows have talked about, they're very balanced. Each character has their own unique fighting style, and they're all unique. Like, let's say Glacius, for example, is a real good distance fighter, or Saberwolf is a lot better up close. They're all really, really balanced. There's another version that you can get for $40, and then that gets you all the characters, all the costumes, as well as the original arcade version of Killer Instinct. I nearly went for that one, but, after plunking down quite a bit on my Xbox One and paying half of the PS4, my roommate has paid the other half, kind of didn't have too much money to get too many games. I had enough to get the upgrades and one game at about $20. So it was between the Killer Instinct and Crimson Dragon. I haven't had a chance to play Crimson Dragon yet. It looks fantastic, and it's basically a spiritual successor to Panzer Dragoon. Kind of how Mighty Number 9 is a spiritual successor to Mega Man. Same creators and some of the same developers, but not the same studio. Sega still owns the rights, if I remember correctly. So it was between that and Killer Instinct, and then after seeing all but one bad review. Every review show was talking about how it's not a good game and it's slow and blah, blah, blah. Only one was really positive, and I went, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to hold off on it and get a game I know is fantastic. So, Killer Instinct, amazing game. And one thing that I didn't really have a chance to, or one thing that I didn't mention earlier, is that the D-pad is far more improved on the Xbox One. I don't know if you can hear it, but it actually clicks now. It's very responsive for fighting games. It's phenomenal. It's just, they listen to fans, and they put out a far better D-pad than they've had before. I had a switching controller, the one that you could switch from the D-pad to the plate. And it worked okay, but it's night and day between the two of these. So the one thing that I was surprised about is that games for the Xbox One are on the opposite side. It's kind of weird. You get used to it, but that's one of my little minor complaints. It's like, I don't understand why Microsoft decided to put the game on one side rather than how it normally has been. maybe just to set themselves apart from Sony, maybe because it is a Blu-ray player, they want to defend. I don't really know. I can't explain it. It's okay. It's just a little bizarre. So Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which I had on the 360 first and was playing it a little bit and having a lot of fun. Really not much more to be said. Yeah, the graphics are sharper. The game looks better. But it's only minor stuff that I noticed anyways. I will go on record and say that I only have a 720p television, so the whole 720p, 1080p fiasco doesn't really affect me, and I don't really care. The other thing is, if you remember, with the Xbox 360, it wasn't capable of 1080p at all to begin with. It wasn't until they released an update that allowed for it, and that's all they really need to do is just release an update. As far as PS4 games that are in 1080p right now, a lot of them needed to be updated to that degree. So I'm confident that down the road Microsoft will allow for the same thing. Anyways, the only differences that I noticed in Black Flag was the water reflections and the facial sharpness. Like, those are the two things that are really better. They look better. But the game itself, it's the same Black Flag. I guess I'm also kind of because I got to a certain point in the 360 version, and now I had to start over again. So that was a little frustrating, but not the worst I could do. What caught my attention, what really changed it for me, was Battlefield 4. I kicked that game on, and wow, it was like night and day. The game looks fantastic. I don't even think that footage I can show would actually do it justice. It's just, wow. Like, if you want a good way to show that the machine can do stuff, take a game that someone's already played and then amp it up. And Battlefield definitely does that. I haven't had a chance to play online with it yet, but from what I have done with the campaign, wow. Effects are just particle effects, and everything is just fantastic. And the last one that I got is Call of Duty Ghosts. Haven't played too much of it yet. As far as what I noticed is the game looks better. It looks good. But where all three of them shine is the sound. They have much sharper, richer sound than the 360 versions do, and obviously the more graphic input, and they have to be installed to the game machine. This is Blu-ray at its best. A Blu-ray disc is superb for sound and picture. You want the best Blu-ray. I do have an HD DVD player that I got for the Xbox, and I used to think that they were almost exactly the same. They're not. I'm glad Microsoft went over to Blu-ray with this as well. So a nice little feature about the games is you can also install to your drive. Well, actually, it's a mandatory install. It installs the game, but you can play the game while it's installing. I'll use Battlefield for an example. It was installing, the campaign was ready to play, and while the game was still installing, I could play the campaign. That's pretty cool. Beforehand, if you install the game to the Xbox 360, you had to wait. And this could take 45 minutes, maybe 30 minutes at the most, to install a game to the drive, and God, no one wanted to wait that long for it. I've seen Rise in action, and it looks superb, but it doesn't interest me, and from what I've been hearing is it's really not that good. It's a way to show off what the Xbox One is capable of, but there's going to be other games that do that down the road anyways, so, that doesn't really interest me. The only retail game that really interests me right now is Dead Rising 3. And not because of the graphics, but because of the massive amount of zombies they let on the screen. I absolutely love Dead Rising 1 and liked Dead Rising 2. So just the scale of thousands upon thousands of zombies is wow. And then the other fact is that you really won't see the same zombies over and over again. You'll see ones that are, close enough, but it makes it feel more dynamic when there are that many different looking zombies in one area. It makes the game flow better and feel better. The Xbox One launched worldwide on the 22nd, and it sold 1 million units in 24 hours. That's pretty good. but the PlayStation did still outdo it. It sold 1 million units in 24 hours, but that was only in North America, Canada, and the US, and that's it. It's launching worldwide next week, I believe, next Friday. So they got the jump ahead in North America, which was a genius part on Sony's part. But, and here's my major reason for, I'm going to end the video at this point. And here's the thing. I am a gamer. I love to game. And to actually get people saying I'm making the wrong choice by buying an Xbox One or making it my primary console, that's my choice. I like the Xbox way of gaming, I like Xbox games, and I love Xbox Live. But, that's just me. There are some limitations to the Xbox One, but it's still a solid machine. It works really well, and I'm glad I got it. So this is Jack, and I'm just going to say Xbox off.
SpaceMonkeyMafiaStudios.com